Ever lay awake at night, wishing you could just like hit delete on certain memories? You know, the ones I'm talking about. The ones that keep popping up when you least want them to. What if I told you scientists are getting closer to actually figuring that out, like actually weakening the hold of negative memories? And get this, using the power of sleep. It sounds kind of crazy, right? But researchers are doing some really fascinating work with this. So basically what they're doing is they have people link a made-up word to a negative image, like a car crash or something. And then later they link that same word to a more positive image, maybe like a group of friends laughing while the person's sleeping. They play recordings of that word. It's almost like subliminal messaging, kind of. And get this, the results are wild after this sleep intervention thing. People actually have a harder time remembering the negative image, the one linked to the word. It's almost like their brains are choosing to focus on the positive connection instead. It's pretty wild, right? Now, of course, the big question is, can this work for real-life trauma? You know, like really intense negative memories. And that's where researchers are being super careful. Because obviously lab-induced memories aren't nearly as powerful as like real-life trauma. But the potential is there. And that's what's so exciting about all of this. I mean, think about it. It really shows you how incredible our brains are during sleep. We used to think of sleep as just downtime, you know. But it's becoming so clear that our brains are like working overtime when we're asleep, processing emotions, consolidating memories, and maybe even helping us heal from past experiences. It's almost like having an overnight therapy session. Pretty cool, huh? But wait, it gets even more interesting. What if we could take this a step further and actually target specific memories while we sleep? That's what this thing called targeted memory reactivation comes in, or TMR for short. So imagine someone with a fear of spiders. Okay. A therapist could work with them to create a positive association with spiders, maybe by showing them pictures of like harmless ones, or even cute ones, I don't know. Then they might introduce a specific sound or a smell that's linked to that positive experience. And later, while the person's asleep, the therapist would play that sound or smell during a specific stage of sleep. And the idea is that this would help strengthen that positive association with spiders, even while they're snoozing. Crazy, right? And like I said, it's still early days for this whole TMR thing. But the research is suggesting it could be a really promising approach for treating all kinds of things, from phobias and PTSD to even just like everyday anxieties. Now I know what you're thinking. Messing with memory sounds kind of intense. And you're right, there are definitely some ethical things to consider here. We have to be super careful about how we use this knowledge and make sure it's not being misused or anything. But if we approach it responsibly, this research could have a seriously positive impact on people's lives. Just imagine a world where we could heal from trauma while we sleep, where those painful memories don't have the power to hold us back anymore. Pretty incredible thought, isn't it? Okay, so all this talk about, manipulating memories might make you wonder, just how solid are our memories anyway? Like, are they really as set in stone as we think they are? Turns out not so much. Think about it. When you remember something, you're not actually pulling up like a perfect recording of the past. You're kind of reconstructing it based on these little fragments of information stored away in your brain. And each time you recall a memory, you have this chance to kind of reshape it just a little bit. There was this one study that showed that just changing the way you think about a bad experience can actually have a lasting positive effect. For example, if you can connect a tough memory to like a sense of personal growth or resilience, you might find that the next time it comes up, it doesn't bother you as much. It's almost like you're replacing this harsh spotlight with a softer kind of light. The memory itself hasn't disappeared, but the emotional weight it carries has shifted. Pretty neat, huh? And that's not all. Another study found that we might actually be able to deliberately blur or even forget unpleasant memories by intentionally tweaking the details a little bit. It's like choosing to focus on the background scenery of a memory instead of the main event. It's still kind of a mystery exactly how this works, but the research suggests it is possible. I don't know about you, but this idea that we have some control over our memories, that they're not like totally set in stone, pretty empowering, isn't it? It means we're not just passive passengers in our own minds. We can actively shape how we remember our past, which in turn can influence how we feel right now in the present. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do I actually start reshaping my memories? Well, there are a few techniques you can try. One is called cognitive reappraisal, and it's basically all about consciously changing the way you think about a specific memory instead of dwelling on the negative parts. Try to find a more positive or at least neutral interpretation. For example, maybe you had a public speaking disaster. That you just can't seem to shake. Instead of focusing on how embarrassed you felt, try to reframe it as a learning experience, something that helped you become a better speaker in the long run. It might sound simple, but research has shown that this shift in perspective can actually lessen the emotional sting of a memory. Another helpful approach is to focus on creating new positive memories. The more positive experiences you have, the less power those negative memories will have over you. It's like crowding out the bad with the good. So make an effort to do things you enjoy, spend time with loved ones, and create new memories that bring you joy. And of course, taking care of your sleep is super important too. A good night's rest gives your brain the space it needs to process emotions, consolidate memories, and do its thing. So make sure you're getting enough sleep, establishing a regular sleep schedule, and creating a relaxing bedtime routine. Think of it as like setting the stage for your brain to do its overnight healing work. The idea is that if you give these meds to someone right after they recall a traumatic memory, you might be able to weaken the emotional punch that memory, or maybe even stop it from being fully stored in the first place. And this is all super experimental still, and there are a ton of ethical considerations to work through. But the potential is definitely there, and it's giving a lot of hope to people who are struggling with these really tough memories that they just can't seem to get away from. It really makes you think about what's coming next in memory research. I mean, will we someday be able to edit our memories? Like actually erase the bad ones and make the good ones even better? It's a pretty mind-blowing idea, and it definitely brings up a lot of ethical questions. But for now, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that our memories are way more flexible than we tend to think. We actually have the power to reshape them, reframe them, and decide how much we let them affect us. And with the help of new research and therapies, we might even be able to find some relief from those memories that cause us the most pain. It's a journey a journey of self-discovery. It's one that I think everyone should go on. Explore your own memories, question them, challenge them, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. We all deserve to live a life that's free from the weight of unwanted memories. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of memory and sleep, I want to leave you with this thought. What if we could all learn to use sleep? To not only rest and recharge, but also to heal and grow. What if we could wake up every morning feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit freer from the past? It's a pretty exciting possibility.